But all that'll go to my grave. I'm not going to talk about anything with David Lynch or anything with Gore Vidal or anything with the Stanley Kubrick stuff. I'm just saying Hollywood is a tyranny. I'm Alex Jones, broadcasting worldwide. Mike Cernovich is riding shotgun with us. We've got the amazing Lucas with us. Here's the deal. When you've got David Lynch on your side, the icon of the left, and he was never even a leftist. They can't figure out his work, so they think it must be the best. And a lot of it is great. Lost Highway, all of it, Dune, you name it. But and he's been on the show, and I've hung out with him some, but that's all off record. Lynch is there's Lynch in public, and there's the Lynch behind the scenes. I'm going to leave it at that. Kind of like Gore Vidal, he was very interesting behind the scenes versus what he was on the scenes. But all that'll go to my grave. I'm not going to talk about anything with David Lynch or anything with Gore Vidal or anything with the Stanley Kubrick stuff. I'm just saying Hollywood is a tyranny, and the people under it don't want to be part of it, and there's a revolt. And I'm just going to tell you this. Kurt Russell, Bruce Willis, Clint Eastwood, all those people and some big producers are really trying to crack Hollywood right now and bring it back, but bring it back just from an Americana view. So when you see Kanye and all this, that's what's going on beneath the surface. And, Kanye West has been looking to go on other big liberty-based shows. And I know from folks that talked to him that they threatened to Baker Act him again. So that's the point. We all need to show courage in the face of this. Amazing Lucas, Mike Cernovich, I wanted to ask you in a minute, too. You were saying some solution ideas, what Trump needs to do. Not some stunts, but some things that really illustrate what's happening. But Amazing Lucas, what would you call this period we're in right now?
I would say a revolution, honestly, because that's what's happening. We're taking back America. Because when it comes to the media, everywhere they're at, the media, Hollywood, magazines, print, TV, we need to be right there behind them instead of putting out the truth. And people see that contrast, they're waking up.
And they know when they call us right-wing Nazis, anybody that's watched knows that I'm not even a conservative. I'm like a common sense, prosperity, pro-America guy. How would you define yourself? It's not about talking about ourselves, but they're always trying to define us. So I think part of victory is defining who we are.
Yeah, I've been called a Nazi.
Jesus. What did you say to the moron when they said it?
I was dumbfounded. I was just like, what? That's all you can say, because they're so gone that they truly believe it.
Mike, how would you define yourself?
I get that all the time. I'm like, dude, I'm in my daughter, they're like, oh, you hate minorities. I'm like, well, my daughter is, not that it matters or whatever, but it's just so weird. That's the thing that I learned about. There are some lessons, maybe we're digressing, but, Alex mentioned covering his mouth earlier. There are some lessons that I wish that I had known early on. So anybody listening, I once read a dramatic reading of Charles Manson's book, and not realizing, because I was naive at the time, how they'll edit stuff and pretend that you actually really said that. And defining myself, I go, oh, they call me this, you're right, I'm that, sarcastically. So what they do is they'll edit anything you say to try to define you as what you're not, because me, I'm not.
But Mike, see, we're your friends, though, and so is everybody else who knows who you are. So when they took those edited tapes on you, notice I didn't turn against you. And it wasn't, it was because I know you're real and I know what they do. But exactly, when I repeat what they say now, I have to cover my mouth because they'll edit it.
Yeah, I do big hand gestures now. Whenever I do videos,
that messes up their jump cuts.
God.
Yeah.
And again, the tricks they use, though, when you're ever watching a show, they'll have a little screen. Like Colbert will turn to it, and I'll say, I can't even say it, I hate the gay people, I hate the black people. And it's just edited stuff, and then they just put it up there.
Propaganda.
Yeah.
But that's what I mean. Like, you want to get honest. I mean, I'm not a violent guy, but the writers of Colbert and people, I'd like to, sometimes let's just say this. They're frauds. They're con men, and they're bullies, and they piss me off.
And it's only natural.
That's why I worry about, yeah. Well, I was saying that's why I'm worrying about your friend, the riding shotgun and stuff. You're going to become a target now. You're going to, Media Matters is going to smear you and everything.
But you have no other choice, though.
Yeah, talk about why you got off the. I mean, you didn't get off the fence, but you had your own career and why you went public.
I was doing 3D animation. I've always had conservative upbringing. I didn't really care anything about the 8 years of Obama, because Obama could have done anything, and they would have just like, oh, it's the greatest thing ever. But what I realized is when Trump came into office, during the administration, during his inauguration, they were talking about, well, that his speech was reminding me of a dictator. A dictator? I heard the speech. I was like, okay, that's interesting.
America's coming together. We love each other.
Yeah. And then it got to the point of being petty with the crowd size. Oh, like he's lying about the crowd size. What else could he be lying about in the administration? I'm like, the man hasn't even stepped foot in the Oval Office, and you're just already attacking him? And then it got to the MLK bus. He removed it. Do you see? He's a racist. I was like, then we find out that didn't happen. And it's just been an attack after attack, a myriad of attacks. I'm like, hold up. If they can attack the president of the United States like this, and no one wants to mention that if Hillary Clinton had won, mom would have been the word. We wouldn't have found out about any of this.
And that's where they miscalculated. I agree.
Exactly.
You're going to keep riding shotgun. We've got a liberal journalist / lawyer coming on who is pointing out this whole thing at the border is a hoax as well. So that's coming up. But let me just ask you in closing, Mike, as you told me some inside baseball during the break, we won't get into who you met with, but you were advising them on what you thought would be good things for the president to do. So how does the president get ahead of them trying to cause a race war, a culture war that they're going to disguise as left versus right, but it's really a race war led by a bunch of weird white people? I'm not just saying it's a virtue signal. It's a bunch of damn white people. Liberal white people are the problem. How do we stop that? What does Trump need to do? Because we're in some serious situations here.
Right. So while I don't want to be, taken out of context by the fake news media, I will say that when ordinary Trump supporters now face the kind of attacks that you and I and Lucas and so many other people do, that maybe now they're realizing, oh, the left isn't going to stop with the so-called French figures. They're going to go after everybody, and they're going to go after your children. So what they need to do, what Trump needs to do is, I've always been critical. So when people call me an apologist for Trump, I go, wow, you've never watched my videos. I've always said that Trump has never tweeted about how if you wear a red hat in public and you get a brick thrown in your face, doesn't care. But Alec Baldwin makes fun of him. And
that's Trump's biggest failing, and I forgot to tell him that. The fact that he doesn't make a big deal out of it, he always goes, we're tough, we're great, we're winning. He doesn't want to act like his people are under attack. But the people want him to come out and say, God bless people that have stood up against this crap and this intimidation. He could open the discussion with giving the names of ICE, putting dead animals on their property, saying attack their children, and expand that out to America and say, God bless you, I appreciate your courage. He always just says, you're smart, you know what I'm doing.
Yeah, and then he tweets about Jimmy Fallon. Get your head in the game, bro. Act like a leader. If your followers,
no, I agree. Jimmy Fallon and all those guys don't exist. You need to talk about how these people are criminals and how they're liars and how they've been caught. I agree.
And hate crime prosecutions against Antifa, the far left. We need Jeff Sessions to begin prosecuting these domestic terrorists before they go like William Ayers, who is Barack Obama's mentor, and there'll be weather underground bombings.
Right. Mike Cernovich, I got another guest coming up, but I'm going to do 2 more minutes with you. You got to hold, because you've always got some big inside baseball or sources on the next thing, just like InfoWars does. Tomorrow's news today. I want to hear other little tidbits, because you'll let me lead the show, but I want you to just tell us what else is on your radar. The amazing Lucas is here, and we've got more coming up. Stay with us.
Someone very profoundly once said many years ago that if fascism ever comes to America, it'll come in the name of liberalism.
I'm a nasty woman.
If you are receiving this transmission, you are the resistance.
Living in Volcano may sound more dramatic than it really is. The real drama can be found here in Leilani Estates. But a lot of us on the Big Island rely on rainwater, and we need to be concerned about ash and acid rain. Volcanic ash may contain heavy metal particles, and acid rain could lower the pH of the water to unhealthy levels. To find out, we employed a series of tests for heavy metals, alkalinity, and pH. What we learned was that there was in fact unhealthy levels of heavy metals and acidity in the rainwater. Next, we tested the water from our Alexa Pure gravity filter. And not only were the heavy metal levels within safe measure, but the pH was also restored to optimal levels. As it turns out, the filter on the Alexa Pure raises the pH of the water. So what we've learned is that volcanic ash and acid rain can contaminate a rainwater supply. But more importantly, a good water filtration system will purify it.